Now, I know I said I made the finale for my Tycoon series, but I've been getting a lot of comments and a lot of posts in my Discord server saying that there are problems with the button animations. Either it's just simply too difficult to understand, it simply doesn't work, or there are errors with it, which is almost shameful for me because I want to make sure you guys have the best possible code and the best possible tutorials out there to watch and follow along. So I want to firmly apologize first of all for giving such bad code to use for the button animations first off, but I also want to make sure that we fix this code and make sure that it starts working for you guys. So what we're going to do is let's click on our Tycoon right here. I'm going to open it up right inside of here and then go inside of these scripts. And let's open up the core script. Now inside of our core script, right after this tween service variable right here, you'll notice that we have all of the code that went into our button animations. And this is some pretty complicated code. It uses lots of different things and lots of different syntax that is a little hard to understand, especially with the way that it's laid out. So let's just go right up here, starting at the local random variable. Let's just grab this and then go all the way down here past our animate building in function. And right before the main items.ownerDoor touched function is going to delete all of this, getting rid of roughly 100 lines of code here. And we're going to create a brand new local function, and let's just call this build animation. I spelled build wrong, so build animation with parentheses, and this is going to be our item that we want to animate, and then also the tween info that we want our item to tween in. Let's go ahead and press enter to create our function, and we want to create a table right up here for our original properties for our item. This is going to hold like the size, the position, the rotation, all sorts of stuff like that. We're going to say local original properties is going to be equal to braces, just like this for a empty table. And now we need to create a for loop to loop through all the different parts inside of our item. So we're going to say for underscore comma v, and this underscore is going to hold the index of whatever we're looping for, but we don't actually need the index, so we're just going to be using an underscore, if that makes sense. And instead of writing v, I'm actually just going to change this to part for easier readability. So for underscore part in pairs item colon get descendants. What get descendants is going to do is it's going to get every single possible part inside of our item here. The only problem with item get descendants though is that it's going to get every single thing inside of our part, or inside of our item I mean, which means it's going to get the values, the scripts, everything of that order, everything that is inside of our item model basically. So you just want to check if part colon is a parentheses quotation marks base part, or part colon is a quotation marks mesh part, just in case some of you guys are using mesh droppers. Then, so let's just going to check if the part that we're looping through actually is a part or a mesh part. Then we're going to say original properties square brackets part will be equal to this table right here. And inside of this table, we are going to just press enter, and that's going to drop the braces down. We're going to say C-frame is going to be equal to part.cframe. Transparency is going to be equal to part.transparency. And I forgot we need to put a comma after each of these, just like this. And then finally, size is going to be equal to part.size, just like this. So this is going to hold all three of the different properties that we're going to change for our part. After that, we're going to drop down a few lines. We're going to say part.transparency is going to be equal to 1, and part.size is going to be equal to vector3.new with no value inside of it. So this is going to store our original properties inside the original properties table, and then it's going to set the new properties for our part right here. Now we need to create something that we'll call the position offset. So this position offset is going to be local position offset. This is going to be equal to vector3.new. Now let's press enter inside of these parentheses right here, and we're going to say random.new. We're going to go ahead of the parentheses and say colon next number, and this will be a number between 0 and 0 as the minimum and max for the x axis. After that, we'll put a comma and say random.new colon next number minus 0 comma 0. We can put a space in between each of these if you'd like to. And then random.new colon next number and then 0 comma 0 once again. Now after this, we're just going to put a asterisk right here, or a star, and this will be times 2 basically. So this position offset, it's simply going to change the position of our part. Now this is going to be completely adjustable. So if you want the parts to be spread out all across your workspace, you can change this value to -1 and 1, and that'll move them in a kind of one stud area all around you. You can also do the same right here. Let's do -1 and 1. Now for me, simply, I don't want my parts to go all around the workspace or really change positions at all. So instead, I'm just going to leave these all at 0 for the moment. However, you can feel free to change these and adjust them however which way you would like to. Now, after we create the position offset, we need to create a rotation offset as well. So the local rotation offset is going to be equal to cframe.angles. Let's press enter inside of the parentheses. I'm going to say random.new colon next number. That's going to be minus math.pi, comma math.pi. Put a comma after here, go down and say random.new colon next number. We're pretty much just going to copy and paste this same line over and over again. So let me just do this for all 3 axes real quick, just like this. So now we have our rotation offset. And this is simply just going to return a random different rotation using cframe.angles. Next, we want to say part.cframe is going to be equal to, well, times equal to, I mean to say, cframe.new position offset times, well, outside these parentheses, you want to say times rotation offset, just like this. So that's going to be everything that we need to do for our for loop right here. Now I'm just going to go through and explain this to you guys in a way that makes sense to me, and hopefully you can follow along. First off, once again, we're looping through all of the different parts, well, every single different instance inside of our item that we're passing through to our function right up here. We're checking if the item or the instance inside of the item that we passed is in fact a base part or a mesh part, or really any type of part. Then we're going to store the original properties inside of a table. After that, we're going to change those properties right here. But the problem is that we need to do a little bit more complicated for the position offset and the rotation offset, simply because those things are more complicated than just vector3.new and transparency, which is an integer. So for the position offset, we're basically positioning the part in a new position based off of where it is right now. So let's take a dropper as an example. Each one of those parts inside of that dropper is going to have a different type of position. Now what we want to do is, with those different parts of the dropper, we want to position them in a different way so that when we go to animate them, they can pop right back into place where they're supposed to be, and it'll look super cool. We do that same thing with the rotation offset right here using cframe.angles, because rotations use angles, by the way. And so we're just simply creating a random rotation for our item, or for our part, I mean to say. Now it'll look super cool when it pops all back together when our animation plays. Then after this, we're simply just setting the C-frame of our part to the position, which is in this position offset variable up here, times the rotation offset, so we get the rotation inside of there as well. Now, as I was saying, we're done with this for loop. So if you press this little triangle up here, it's just going to close out our for loop, and it'll make it much easier just to read and continue on. Let's go ahead and press enter. Oh, that opened it. So we're going to drop down a few lines right here and then close that for loop again. Now after our for loop right here, let's create a brand new variable that's going to hold all of our tweens that we're going to be using. So this is going to be local tweens, which will be equal to an empty table. After that, we need to create a brand new for loop for, once again, all of the parts inside of our table. We're going to say for underscore comma part in pairs item colon get descendants. We're going to check if part colon is a quotation marks base part, a capital P as well, or part is a mesh part. Then Or say local tween. We're going to create a brand new tween. It's going to be tween service :create. Our part, our tween info that we're going to be passing to our script, and then our original properties table with our part inside of square brackets, just like this. Let's go ahead and drop down a few lines. Then we're going to say tween dot completed. We're going to connect a function. Then we're going to press enter on the end of our function here. And here's where we're going to say our part dot transparency is going to be equal to original properties square brackets part dot transparency. We're going to say the same exact thing for C-frame, which will be equal to original properties part dot C-frame. I'm messing up a lot here, sorry about that. We're going to say part dot size will be equal to original properties part dot size. After that, we simply say table dot insert tweens comma tween. This will simply insert our tween into our tweens table. And we're going to say tween play and then task dot wait. So inside of this task dot wait right here, this is going to be the wait time in between every single part that's going to be tweened. So if you want them all to happen at once, you can remove this task dot wait. Otherwise, if you want them to happen one part after the other, you can put a wait time. For me, I'm personally going to do like 0.03, but you can do upwards of however many seconds you want to. Just keep in mind that the more seconds it is, the longer it's going to take for your item to spawn in. After that, we just go down a few lines like here, and we say return our tween table, just like this. So ultimately, this is our build animation function. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can get the full thing, if I can get the whole thing right here. It's a lot of code. Well, it looks like a lot. It's not actually that much. But yeah, anyways, this is going to play our build animations for our items. Now, one thing that we need to do is we simply just need to set it up so that our items actually go into our function here, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to zoom in again real quick. Now let's just scroll down side of our function all the way till we find our function like this: tycoon.purchases.child.added. Now ultimately, if this function does look different than your guys' function, it's probably because I might have accidentally changed this function while helping someone else with their own tycoon. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter what's inside of here, simply because we're going to get rid of it. And if your function is like somewhere inside of your buttons function, it's perfectly okay. If you want to, you can move it outside like this. Otherwise, it's perfectly fine to keep it in there. However, I prefer for it to be out here. So our tycoon.purchases.child.added, we're going to connect the function, and whatever add is inside of here, that's going to be the child that was added to the purchases folder. We're going to say our build animation, we're going to call it with our add right here, and then we're going to need our tween info. So this is going to be tween info.new. Now we need the time that we want our animation to take. So I'm going to do about 1 enum.easing style. You can choose any easing style that you want to, whether that be linear, elastic, quad, court, quint, bounce, whatever you want to. I'm personally going to do elastic. I like that cartoony, I guess, elastic easing styles, I should say. I'm going to choose enum.easingDirection.in/out, and that's all we really need to do. So now, before we actually go ahead and test our tycoon, what we need to do is we need to X off this core script like this. We need to go to the home right here, click on select, grab our tycoon, duplicate it, and then move it right over into server storage and delete the other tycoon. And now we can go ahead and click on play and test it out. So let's go ahead over here, go in the game. So it looks like I already have everything. So let me reset my data store. Actually, I'm just going to rebirth. So let me buy the first dropper right here. It looks like it didn't actually play an animation. So get descendants not a valid member of our model workspace.tycoons.tycoon.purchases.dropper. This is the error I'm getting. Now I simply made a mistake simply because I'm just not smart or whatever, but descendants is spelled with an A instead of an E. So that's my bad right there. You can just go ahead and replace the E with an A right here. And we want to do that inside of our other for loop as well. So yeah, that was my mistake. Let's go ahead and, well, before we go playing it, we need to duplicate our tycoon one more time. So that was my bad. Go ahead and click on play now. So join the game. Let's go ahead and claim our Tycoon real quick. Let's go ahead and grab the colorizer. And just like that, you can see our items are animating perfectly as we want them to. They're joining in, and ultimately we're not getting any errors, which is pretty cool, except for this exception while signaling, but that's a very common error and it doesn't actually affect our script at all. Pretty epic. Anyways, guys, if you were able to follow along with the script inside the tutorial, that's amazing. You probably learned a lot, and I'm so glad that you did. Otherwise, if you weren't able to follow along, I'm sorry if I went too fast or anything, but you can find the script inside the comments. Please make sure that you will have to make sure that everything is spelled properly for it to work. However, if you happen to have any difficulties, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. I might make a few other videos simply on this Tycoon topic, just fixing a lot of the errors or mistakes that I made during the series, just to make sure that you guys have the best possible Tycoon out there. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and goodbye.